Hi, Sash here. I'm just gonna make my juice today and share with you how to juice with the Vitamix. This seems to be the most effective way to juice for me. And effective, I mean getting the most amount of nutrition possible. So here we go. The way I do it that I find to be most effective, nutritionally and time-wise, nutrition first, time-wise second, is to simply chop all the celery. Throw it all in the Vitamix. Start with the high water so I can get the most amount of juice out, because this is where the majority of my juice is going to come from. Oh, wow. Big celery. The beauty of the Vitamix is it rips things down into more or less putty. And so that gives you the most nutrition out of your veggies. Great. So then a bowl, simple napkin. You can go buy a fancy nut milk bag, but just a plain simple cotton napkin seems to work fantastic. I go through I'll juice about 1.5 liters, maybe 2 liters a day at the moment. And I'll go through about 1 napkin a week. So if you can get some really cheap ones, or even 2 weeks, one every 2 weeks, before the pores start to get a bit clogged up. So one every 2 weeks, you go out and find some cheap cotton napkins, and yeah, because eventually you'll start to find that you're squeezing harder and harder and harder, and eventually some accidents happen. You either break the bag, it comes out the top and flies across the room. I've done that enough times. And yeah, you make a mess, and you spend a lot more time trying to squeeze it all out. So when you constantly replace the bag, yeah, it saves you a hell of a lot of time. So this is the straight celery juice, and I find this to be the most effective method rather than mixing in the rest of the greens as well. Just doing the celery by itself seems to go a long way. Keeps the mixture at a nice consistency, so that it's quite easy to squeeze. Whereas once you start to make the mixture thicker and thicker, it becomes a bit harder to squeeze through. So yeah, just play with it around in the bag and squeeze. And the yield you get from doing it this way is much greater than most juices, at least centrifugal juices. Masticatings can make them pretty dry, but then you just look at the pulp of a masticating juice and you realize it hasn't been cut up into absolutely nothing, like the Vitamix will. While the masticating juicer the longevity of the juice is a bit better, much better, I still feel like a hell of a lot more nutrition comes through the Vitamix. And this is a juice you want to drink on the day. You don't want to be storing for 2 to 3 days. Okay, great. So Just show you a quick look at the pulp. It's so fine, it's indistinguishable. To know what that was before. Comes off really easy. You can put it down the sink if you wish, because it's cut up so fine it will never cause any type of blockage. Rinse it out. You might want to be a little bit careful with the water you're rinsing it out with. I'm in Whistler and the water's pretty good. A little bit of chlorine, but I'm not too worried. Give it a good squeeze. And the trick with the Vitamix is not to use too much liquid when you're blending stuff in, otherwise it foams up a hell of a lot. So I'm going to pour about 2 cups out of that back. And by the way, doing it through the cotton napkin filters the juice better than any other juicer I've come across, minus the Norwalk Juice Press, which is the most superior juicer in the world. Rolls Royce of juices. So check that out too, Norwalk Juice Press. So that's my shard, 1 bunch of that. I mean, I'm constantly doing greens at the moment, I don't do any real fruits. That's half a bunch curly parsley. More or less 1 bunch kale. Just quickly chop them up. It makes it a little bit easier for the Vitamix. And when I mean easier, all I mean is that it seems to blend up a lot quicker. And the thing you want to watch with the Vitamix is not overheating it. So the more you can get it going without overheating it, the better. Never cook your juice. The Vitamix will do that if you're not careful. And also pay attention to whether your produce has been at room temperature or whether it's been in the fridge, because that'll also give you another indication of how long you can blend it for. Okay, so a couple of more things. Just some cut-offs from yesterday's salad. I might cut that up a little. Hope this video is not too long, but I just wanted to show you the process. Got a new channel called Living Quadrinity, and that will have a lot more of this recipe and more about just well-rounded living. Whereas the current channel is going to be more about the magic messages I write every day. My wife and my daughter is very involved on the Living Quadrinity website. So lemon. For the Vitamix, I just cut around. I cut around the edges and take off the peel. Can use some of the peel, the zest can be useful. But for the most part, yeah, I get rid of the peel. Just put it into quarters. And there we go. Blend 2. So depending on how much there is, you might want to squeeze it out in 2 loads. I think I should be fine just doing the one. Just makes it a bit easier to squeeze. Always sort of get the edges and start to fold off the napkin if there's a lot in it. And that way I know I've got it securely held at the top, because as soon as it's not secure at the top and you squeeze, be prepared to have thick green smoothie all over the place. With the Vitamix, I always like to start on the lowest setting and then get higher and higher and higher, and then once I know it's going to turn, I'll quickly put the lid back on and throw it on high and allow it to mix. So this is a bit thick. I keep it really secure at the top, holding it at the top. And slowly just squeeze and turn. Taking out all the fiber, giving you a rich, highly absorbable green juice. I'm going to do the full cleanup to give you an idea of how long this takes. A lot easier than cleaning a juicer. But yes, there is the squeezing part, obviously. Fiber in a juice can be a little bit harder to deal with. Even just residual fiber through a juice machine, because it skips the process of chewing and also mixing with saliva. So yeah, getting close now. I just sort of separate it up, because some parts get more trafficked in parts of the bag, so I spread out the traffic and then squeeze again. Close, do it again. Just move it around a bit. You don't want to go too nuts and trying to be squeezing every last drop out, because your chances are you might break the bag, and also just takes time. And you wear out the bag a bit too. Some of that fiber starts to get clogged in a bit deeper when you start to squeeze really hard. Okay, great. Just empty this bag. As far as cleaning the bag is, I've never felt any bacteria, haven't gotten sick. All I do is I just put it under hot water and give it a good rub and a squeeze. Now I've heard you can soak it in boiling water, you can throw it in the freezer, is meant to kill like everything, but just tap water, really hot, do a little rub down, and then a squeeze and hang it up to dry. Seems to have worked great for me. I've been doing it for years now. So I don't know what degree you want to go to, but this has been perfect. There we are. Shake it out, hang it up. It's done. I'll carburate all of this pulp, not that I really need to, because it's so fine. while I may move fast, what's of utmost importance is to be present with every task. Be present with turning the water on, be present with pouring this, be present with blending, because that's going to energize the juice. Your conscious awareness. That's good. Let's clean up this kitchen bench. The only reason I'm doing all of this is because I just want to give you a real-time idea of what it takes to juice using the Vitamix. And clean up and everything. The most nutritious way of juicing. By far, minus the Norwalk. Check out the creator of the Norwalk too. His name's Norman Walker. It's more or less the godfather of juicing. So there we go. Fill a couple of jars up here. Mason jars, best to travel with. They have that airtight seal. So I'll give it a little extra mix before I put it into a jar. One, two. Vitamix is like the easiest thing to clean in the world. That's what's so beautiful about it. And there you go. So the new channel is Living Quadrinity. I'll probably put this one up there too. And if you're seeing this on Living Quadrinity, I do daily magic messages and a couple of recipes on just high vibrational living. So there you go. Juice. That's probably about 1.5 liters. As nutritious as it gets. Well, pleasure being with you here today. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, and I look forward to doing more ultra healthy recipes for you. That's what I'm all about. I'm moving into ultra healthy recipes, not just, calling it healthy because it's raw vegan. Okay, magic hands over and out.